Well, good morning, everybody. We got Tuesday, September the 30th, 2025. We'll go out and we'll try to catch the sunrise. And yeah, the Cubs play later today. I think it's a 2 p.m. start time. Play the Padres, first game of the wild card series there in the playoffs for the MLB, so we'll look for that. But we'll see if we get a stream here. We'll go out and catch the sunrise. Good morning. How's everybody doing here? We'll try it on Streamlabs this morning. We'll see if it resolution is any better. You know, positive, negatives to everything. The YouTube app, the comments work better, but then every once in a while the resolution gets messed up. Hey, there you go there, Grace. Good morning there. Teresa B. Taco Jalapeno Salsa. Good morning. How you doing? Yeah, let's go out and catch the sunrise here. And I already fired up the work laptop, checking emails and things like that. But the sun's supposed to rise at 6:47. So it looks like a nice clear morning. We'll head over to the lakefront and then we'll probably just tootle through the park. I will probably head back into the neighborhood to go pick up a few things at the grocery there, just items for the day. But hopefully I'll be able to take a break at lunch and we'll run up to Wrigley there for the pregame. They got 3 games this week. I don't think I'll be able to get up there every day. Here comes the bus. So sometimes when it rains, I catch this 134. It goes express after this stop here and goes all the way downtown. It's a nice option, you know, especially for inclement weather and things like that. So here we'll head around this bus and we'll head over to the park here. It's always weird crossing here. You never know if cars going to be coming through. Yeah, Naya's tuning in there. Michael Rodriguez, Taco, yeah, of course, Wes. Naya Papaya. Good morning. Yeah. So here, it'll take me about 15 minutes to get to the lake here. Actually, probably only 10 minutes. We should get there with about 5 minutes to spare before the sunrise there. But thanks everybody for your support for Ernie there. Yeah, you know, it was a harrowing hearing him talk about what he went through there on Saturday. I'm glad he let us know. And thanks everybody for your kind words of support there for Ernie. It just illustrates the times we're living in here, you know. And you know, how much can we talk about this? How much it's affecting Chicago neighborhoods and, you know, U.S. citizens being profiled. We knew this was going to happen. I don't know how else. What did people really expect? You know, yeah, it looks great to vote for a candidate, say he's going to solve some problem, and the means they have to go through to do it are almost worse than the thing they're trying to solve, you know, and everybody digs down and retrenches to their political talking points, and we get this, you know, what are we going to get today? We're going to get a government shutdown, and you know, all these, you know, civics lessons that we were lied to when we were kids, that government's based upon compromise and cooler heads, you know, working backroom deals, when we realize it's all just lobbyist money, manipulation through the media. The left does it, the right does it. We are all manipulated. Corporate money, you know, and whataboutism, mass shooter incidences, and people try to blame ideology. And then when the ideology is on the other side, there's radio silence, you know, and the hypocrisy is a legion. So I'm not going to waste my breath trying to solve all these things on this little channel. That's why I appreciate people for coming with me to YouTube. I just want to walk around and show scenes of the city. We have to talk about current events because it's affecting the city. It's affecting this city. It's affecting Memphis. It's affecting LA. in New York City and even smaller communities throughout the nation that are, you know, we're all in this together. Hey, here's the North Pond here. Look at that view. You get to the residential towers there, the casting pier by the Peggy Notebart Nature Museum here. Yeah, Winky, I didn't say the R word, you did, so I don't know how to take your comment. We'll just let it be there. You know, thanks for tuning in here. Here's we're going by the butterfly garden here at the Peggy Notebart Nature Museum, and yeah, that R word has been thrown around so much that it almost loses meaning, and different sides of the political spectrum think about it differently. So once again, we're living in different universes, and that's we can all choose our own reality. Maybe on the way back we can stop by the Caldwell Lily Pool. I'm so happy that's back open. Usually they open it at sunrise and it's still closed because technically the sun hasn't risen. So hopefully on the way back those doors will be open to the Caldwell Lily Pool. We can go through there in the morning. And since I'm working from home today, and the reason I'm working from home today, the Cubs are got a 2 p.m. start time for the first game of the wild card race there, the MLB playoffs there for Cubs versus the Padres baseball. And so we might head up there at lunchtime, see what's shaking there at Wrigleyville. But again, I don't think I'll be able to get all 3 games. I got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week. But here we'll head over to the lake. There's the parking lot entrance for the Lincoln Park Zoo. This is Cannon Drive. They repaved Cannon Drive further north and added some pedestrian crosswalk bump out things. Yeah, happy Tuesday. Julie's tuning in there. Carla, yeah. Guy threatened to come to Seattle. Yeah, I know. It's you know, they're going to try every city to make their political points, and that's the point of all this, I guess. Yeah, good morning there, Winky. Let's see, Margie R, Elena, Carlos, good morning. Julie Smith, how you doing there? Yeah, Carlos, Wes. Yeah, good morning, everybody there. Yeah, Carl, I don't get why they sent it to Michigan either. To me, I'm worried about, especially with this big Hexeth meeting going on, I'm worried about the politicization, the perceived politicization of the military, where the U.S. How you doing there? I don't want the U.S. military to be seen as aligned with one political party. That's very dangerous. And either the left or the right. The military has historically been neutral, and since the current administration desperately wants to use the military, starting with the National Guard, which is not really the military, but through the governors and police power of the state to enforce their policies. Since they're having trouble going that route, they're going to try the military. And I don't think people in the military signed up for policing Americans. You know, you see that's kind of like a scope creep. And even though I'm a white guy with red hair that's perceived to be a hillbilly American, which is true, I accept all those things. You know, I do have distant ancestors that were rounded up in the Trail of Tears, and we know what that was like, where the U.S. military was used, which now we consider indigenous people Americans. At that time, they were not considered Americans. That's per the Constitution. Both the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution actually single out Indians, Native Americans, as not being U.S. citizens. And so, Native Americans know what it's like. Native Americans in New Mexico who are being rounded up by ICE wrongly, and then ICE has to look so embarrassed, because how embarrassed would you be? The ICE agent, you rounded up a Native American. Thanks for saving America there, ICE. You rounded up a Native American and thought it was a legal Mexican immigrant. You know, it shows you how misguided in how they racial profile people according to how they look. And that's what happened to Ernie. And that's why that's important that we talk about this. Because honestly, would they have rounded up me or Ernie? And I want to know the answer to that question. Because that's important to fundamental of this social contract we call America. Here, let's head over to the lakefront here. Let's catch the sunrise here. Yeah, wake up. It's early in the morning there. Wake up. Time to put on a little makeup. I'll sing the System of a Down song. Lakefront's open year round. No, that's the restaurant. So that's this restaurant here. Theater on the lake here. But hey, look at people jogging, enjoying this beautiful 70-degree morning. No, yeah, it's like 65 degrees. We're going to get up to mid-70s. It's going to be a picture-perfect day for a good old American ball game there. Yeah. Is there going to be ice agents at Wrigley Field? I doubt it. But it wouldn't surprise me. We got to go up there to make sure. On Sunday, they were at train stations. I was talking to Darren Monroe about it because we were talking about the Ernie incident. And I saw on TV when I was laying on the couch this week and too lazy to live stream, there was, federal agents there. Overwhelming show of force. I think that's the point. It's just so people acquiesce. Here, let's head up to Lake Michigan here. We have 6:44 in the AM here. We're going to try to catch the sunrise here over Lake Michigan. We got a calm lake. Beautiful weather, calm, not windy at all. Here's the bike path. Sunshine. Yeah. See, good people greeting each other here, taking a bike ride. Yeah, look at the skyline here. So here, let's cross the bike path. You gotta look both ways. People jogging. Yeah, we'll get a close-up of the horizon here. Nelios, how you doing there? Not too cold, not too hot. Margie, how you doing there? Yeah, it'll be a beautiful day. We'll sing the U2 song. Yeah, look at the skyline here. So if you just joined here, we're out by Fullerton. Fullerton and Lake Michigan here. There's that nice view. We'll get the sunrise. 6:45, so hopefully in 2 minutes here we'll get the sunrise over Lake Michigan. Hopefully the resolution's better here. We'll do Streamlabs at lunch too. It's hard for me to interact with the comments when I'm in Wrigleyville anyway. Oh yeah, my leg's feeling a little better. Thanks, Nelios. Thanks for... And Anita, I commend her. She sensed it without even me saying anything. People know more about me than I know about myself. She could tell I was... But yeah, I really rested it. Was putting on the icy hot, which really doesn't... it's deep tissue. I wonder if it goes back to... I've forgotten that a week before I went to North Carolina, when those pigeons were chasing me, I slipped on the muck and I hyperextended my leg. I think that's where it started. And then when I got to North Carolina with that boot, it made it worse. And so now hopefully it's had enough time to heal. But hey, thanks for tuning in here. We're looking at the sunrise over Lake Michigan. We got Tuesday, September the 30th, last day of September 2025 here. And yeah, don't spend money on things you can't own. That's good advice. Thanks, Tom. Tom Bombadil. Oh, are you from the Lord of the Rings there? Hey, that's good. How you doing there, Tom? Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Taco. Yeah, I'll probably be up there. We'll start walking up there afternoon. We'll probably get up there by 1 o'clock, hopefully. Yeah, thanks for the old remedies there. Aspercream. I need some Ibogaine. Yeah, Ibogaine. Hey, the sun's peaking. Yeah, look at that sunrise. 66 degrees here. Here comes the sun. Yeah, roll that lotion. Roll that beautiful bean footage. Yeah, Sandra, go Cubs. Yeah, so the Cubs play later today. We'll We'll see if the government shuts down today. Isn't it amazing how even the stock market, nothing even cares, you know? They'll be like, oh, it's a buying opportunity. You know, let's have a government shutdown every day. Beam me up, Scotty. Yeah, Kansas City. Tanya, thanks for tuning in. Hey, we're watching the sunrise here from Chicago. Yeah, I go to the dispensary. See, I'm on YouTube. I can say that. That's good. I can't even say like the D word or the M word on TikTok. People are like, "Why are you leaving TikTok?" I'm like, "You don't know what it's like." Yeah, 45 degree. Why you got a cool start there? Yeah, how you doing? No, it's okay. Hey, Jessica. Good morning. So if you just joined, we're watching the sunrise here. See, there's the skyline of Lake Michigan, or skyline of Chicago from Lake Michigan. There's your sunrise from around Fullerton. We're about 3 miles north, up by Lincoln Park here. And here we'll zoom into that sun there. What a beautiful, clear morning. Beautiful weather. It's going to be a beautiful day. Let's go. Let's have a ball game here. Late September, early October, all the way up into the marathon, we have some amazing weather here in Chicago. Great footage. Yeah, the same sun. Sometimes I'll be filming the sunrise here in Chicago, and somebody tuning in from Thailand or Indonesia will be like, we're watching the sunset over Bali. Jen Chef Mo. Yeah. Must be the same. There it is. So hey, we caught the sunrise. Look at all these people out here greeting the sun here up early, 6:49 in the AM Chicago time. Let's head up towards that Chiron there. Let's see, we got time to walk through here. We'll just veg by the lake here. Good morning, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to Chicago here. Yeah, we're up by Fullerton there. And you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna head back to the Peggy. No, the oops! Oh, look at this. There's SpongeBob, Homer. People used to always write on the rocks here before there used to be rocks. Yeah, let's head back towards the Caldwell lily pool there, and we'll head around there. Weather's perfect. 65 degrees. Not a cloud in the sky, except for there's one there. But sunshine, calm. The lake's calm. Got the sunrise there. So hey, we got the whole day ahead of us. Cubs are in the playoffs. Bears beat the Oakland Raiders on Sunday. Blocked field goal. Let's just roll with this. Let's stay positive. Watch people jogging here. You got the running panther. The bike's coming good. Yeah, not usually awake. Yeah, you can watch from the comfort of your bed there. Yeah, I'm gonna get a drink of water here. Just drink. There's that sun. Here comes the sun. Where should you go when you visit Chicago? Well, you'll figure it out. Isn't that the best thing about exploring a new place? Is I want to see your first impressions of Chicago, not knowing where to go and figuring out where you go and what you think of it. You don't have to rely on me. What I recommend, you'll figure something out. Fly in the airport, get downtown on a CTA train there, the blue line or the orange line if you head into Midway or O'Hare. We'll probably head into O'Hare. And once you get downtown, you can afford a hotel. Hotels are pretty expensive, but if you stay downtown, you can branch out in any direction there. We got museums, free zoos, pay zoos, Brookfield Zoo. We got restaurants, good cultural institutions, a lot of free festivals, Navy Pier, Lakefront, beaches, you know. And we're not better than any other city. We're not worse than any other city. We just got our own unique set of problems and positives. And watch my reruns. If you'll figure out stuff to do, just watching my reruns. That's what most people do. I learned about stuff I didn't even know about Chicago by doing this. Same with other people that said they lived here their whole life, didn't know about the Elks Memorial or the Caldwell Lily Pool, or we go down to Pullman on the south side, all the free museum you got there of all the labor strike and history that went on there. You know, show all the museums in the museum campus. Northerly Island, these pastoral areas you can get away in the city there. That's okay. That's not every. You don't have to come to Chicago. Thanks for watching it virtually there. It's proves that Chicago is part of flyover country too. As long, you know, people always talk about New York and LA and flyover country. Well, in Chicago, we realize we're not as important as New York and LA there, so you can put us with the flyover country there. here's DuSable Lakeshore Drive, and here, let's get across here. This is one of the exit ramps here. So here's the we're about 3 miles north of the downtown there. We'll give you a skyline view. I live in this neighborhood, so I'm sticking around. I'm working from my place today, so I can at lunchtime walk up there to Wrigley Field and get the pre-game vibes there. Here's Diversey Harbor. Got the nice reflection there, and if you look this way, you get this beautiful view to the Chicago skyline from a portion of it, just a small portion of it, not the whole skyline. There's the John Hancock. That's the rowing slip. It goes down by the Lincoln Park Zoo there. Hey, have a great day there. Austin, Texas. Austin, Texas, tuning in there. Yeah. Good morning, everybody there. Oh, they're breaking. Yeah, when you fly over, you miss everything that makes this country great. That's a great statement there, Chris. Yeah, I like that. Second City. Yeah. Hyde Park. Yeah. Yeah, we've gone to Hyde Park. I went there with Chris. We checked out the new Obama Presidential Library. I know, whatever you want to call it, the Presidential Center. We checked out the Japanese garden there. And we also went down to southeast Chicago. We went to the Blues Brothers Bridge there, 95th. We went to Calumet Fisheries. That was a good time. But here we'll why am I walking this way? I want to go. Is it open? Yeah, let's go this way. Here's some spider webs. I'll walk through the spider webs here. Yeah, this stainless steel monument. And look at that message right there. Look, somebody put that on there. Commemorates where the Chicago fire burned out in 1871. It got this is where the lake was, and the wind blew it into the lake, and that's when the fire was extinguished. 1871. It took like 2 or 3 days for it to burn out completely. Or so I've been told. Here's Fullerton and Cannon Drive here, Lincoln Park. Yeah, we'll head over to the Caldwell Lily Pool there. I think the doors are open. Can't tell. We'll find out soon enough. Here's the main entrance to the Lincoln Park Zoo, where you can park. And you have to pay for parking. They got the Fall Fest going on. It just started. But it's going to go on most of October there, so we'll have plenty of chance to see it. There. Yeah, see, that's lake. We were just at the lake there, so at the sunrise. You can rewind it. How you doing? And yeah, Grease is tuning in there. Yeah, good morning there. TAKHS there. How you doing there? The old church. Oh yeah, we went over to the Puerto Rican festival there. Yeah, we went to the church in Ukrainian Village. I think that's what you're talking about, Chris. Yeah, it was a true Russian Orthodox, and I kudos to Chris. Chris actually got us inside that church he talked to the young philosophers there that were philosophizing, and they said, hey, you want to go inside? We're like, do we? And what a beautiful church here, that Russian Orthodox. So here's the Alfred Caldwell Lily Pool, and that was over by Humboldt Park. We went to Humboldt Park. We went to the Puerto Rican Arts Museum there, and they had a festival, and that was a good time too. And we saw Dan Cruz. We saw Dan Cruz that day flying his drone. And I was walking with Chris through Humboldt Park. I'm like, I wonder if Dan's here. And then Dan's like almost on cue. Dan's flying his drone, and he filmed us, and we talked with him, and it was great. Dan Cruz, follow him. He's a good Chicago content creator there with his drone and his dog, and he goes all over Chicago and the world and films beautiful shots with his drone, among other things. Here's the Peggy. Oh no, I keep doing this. This is the Caldwell Lily Pool. This is the Caldwell Lily Pool. I'm glad it's back open. I already posted a rerun of this. Here we're seeing it early in the morning. It's kind of mucky. Usually in the peak of summer, this lily pool is amazing. It's like a Monet painting, complete with bullfrogs and everything. They got this waterfall right when you come in. Of course, it's a man-made waterfall, but they strategically placed the rocks to get that grotto tinkling effect with the water. Hey, McCrae's tuning in there. Lambie T there. Diana Reed, how you doing? My Aunt Diane, how you doing there? Thanks for tuning in. This is the Peggy. Did I take you here when you were here with Debbie? I'm not for sure. I remember one time walking Debbie through here, my Aunt Debbie, and she was like, where are you taking us? Because I was like, we can get to the zoo this way. And she's like, why are we walking through the woods? And I was like, I was trying to show the Peggy, I keep doing that. I was trying to show the Caldwell Lily Pool here. It's near the Peggy Notabart Nature Museum, which is just across Fullerton. This is the Caldwell Lily Pool. Alfred Caldwell was a landscape architect that was influenced by Jens Jensen. Jens Jensen, of course, the Danish. Now we consider him a landscape architect, but at that time they just considered him an architect. And Jens Jensen was so instrumental in Humboldt Park. Like, his office was in Humboldt Park, right where the Puerto Rican Art Museum is there, Cultural Center. And was instrumental in designing, as part of the City Beautiful movement, designing all the parks on the west side. And they would have community centers, showers for immigrant labor, so they would have recreational activities that are still used to this day, gymnasiums, exercise programs, nutrition classes. It was part of Jane Addams' Hall House, which was outreach to impoverished immigrant groups, mainly at that time from Europe, but expanded to, all areas. And that shows you this city, Chicago, has a tradition. Why do we have such nice parks? The city, number one, kept its lakefront free from being completely industrialized, and it happened to other cities like Cleveland, Detroit, where the whole waterfront becomes industrialized. It happened in Indiana. Just if it wasn't for the Indiana Dunes National Lakeshore, they would have industrialized Indiana's lakefront with steel mills, and it almost happened, where they literally cut down dunes to build steel mills. But that's why Chicago has so many nice parks. The city was planned that way. It was part of urban planning. And despite our other problems, we got amazingly large parks. Here's and well programmed. We've shown this before. Here's what they restored, among other things. The little shelters here. This is prairie style architecture here. Again, Alfred Caldwell, influenced by Jens Jensen, who was influenced by Frank Lloyd Wright and Schmidt. And see how they stabilized this. This was sinking into the water. I remember 2 years ago, before they closed this, they raised this at least 12 inches, where this rock and these rocks were sinking into the water. So it was structurally undermining this, and so they had to shore this up, and it took a long time. So good morning, everybody. Thanks for tuning in here. Here's the Caldwell Lily Pool here, Lincoln Park, Chicago. And yeah, McCrae's tuning in there, Margie R, D Michael, Chris. Yeah, the city planners there. See, it does have a purpose. And see, they replaced this wood. They got the I think maybe they used to have some copper, but they replaced it. It looks like new copper. You could sit in these alcoves and just contemplate. Every once in a while, you see some wildlife and migratory birds and turtles and bullfrogs. There, this is the, if you just joined me in Chicago, this is the Caldwell Lily Pool in Lincoln Park. It's near the Lincoln Park Zoo. It has its own entrance. They do close it up at night. It's free, but it's open during the day, usually from sunrise to sunset. And there's, you got to watch for the spider webs. And let's see how they got all this rock from creeks and stuff, and they placed it here so you feel like you're in a little glen or something. Yeah, kind of like Japanese meets prairie style there, Chris. Yeah, you got it. That's why I think it almost looks like a Shinto shrine. I know, and the Shinto shrines heavily use wood, you know, in the Japanese tradition, but this is prairie style, American style architecture. It shows you how everything influences everything else. Nothing exists in a vacuum. Nothing's completely original. We all stand on the shoulders of giants, and certainly includes architecture and landscape architecture and city planning. So, but I'm just happy this is back open. This was closed for a year and a half while they were renovating that, and it's really close to where I live, so this is one of my little peaceful spots that I like to just veg and walk around. I did walk through here on Sunday, and I didn't live stream it. I just was using it for my own quiet contemplation. Yeah, the bullfrog. Yeah, we need the Budweiser. Bud, why? There we go. Here we go. Here's some migratory birds here. So there's a crane, and look, it's hanging out here in the Caldwell Lily Pool. There's a migratory bird there, and so, you know, look at that. You know, we got up by Belmont Harbor, there's a bird sanctuary, and up by Montrose there's a nature sanctuary at that peninsula, and even this part, you know, the beavers that try to build a lodge there in the South Pond. Nature finds a way to make use of these beautiful spots, and I'm glad that, hey, we're providing a habitat, even in this dense urban environment, for birds like that to have a place to live next to the zoo. But here we're hanging out with the squirrels. There's fat squirrels in here. You used to be able to go up to the zoo that way, but they blocked it off. That's why my Aunt Debbie was like, "Where are you taking us?" I was like, "Go down this creepy path, we'll pop out in the zoo." She's like, "What?" But now you can't even take it because they closed it off, because I guess people like me were sneaking into the zoo and they didn't like it. Here's the council ring. Caldwell there's a chipmunk. I saw a chipmunk just went across there. Caldwell took advantage of these council rings, which of course go back to indigenous cultures, but again, everything is in a continuum. They were inspired many different ways. You know, it's not a appropriation of indigenous culture. It's an appreciation where we're trying to learn from the wisdom of the ancients, and just could we get Congress around here to work out their differences, just sitting around the council circle. It's like a round table, the Knights of the Round Table here. Or it could be an altar for Halloween sacrifice. There you see the city off in the distance here. That's Lincoln Park, and that's the greenhouse for the conservatory. Western Australia, how you doing there, lover? Yeah, thanks for tuning in there. Thanks, Jesse, for tuning in there. Yeah, waking up the DMs. Yeah, chipmunks. Elky. Yeah, nice tuning in. Hey, thanks for tuning in from all over the world here. Thanks for checking out Chicago. So here, we'll walk out of here, and we'll head into the city. I'll probably just head up Clark Street. I'm gonna go pick up some things at the store. Either I'll stop at Walgreens or go a little further up there. Wow, there's a black squirrel. Do you see that? Let's see if we can get closer to that black squirrel. That's interesting. It looks like it's darker than the other squirrels. That's interesting. Let's see if we can find the black squirrel here in the yeah, that's a black squirrel. Do you see that? Look at that. It's a very dark fur. To me, it just seems darker than the other squirrels that we just saw. I didn't know there was that much variation with the squirrels' fur. That's nice. I like that. So here we're in the Peggy, I keep doing that. We're in the Caldwell lily pool. I haven't gotten I haven't woken up yet. I need to get my coffee. Yeah, McRae, I don't know if I've ever seen a squirrel like that. Did you see that? It was really dark fur. I liked it. So we got 7:07 in the AM here. We're in the Central Time Zone. Chicago's an hour behind New York City, and it's 2 hours ahead of the Pacific Time Zone in North America here. So we got 7:08 in the AM, Chicago Central Time Zone. And we're at the Caldwell Lily Pool here. There was that pavilion we were... Oh, it looked like a mink. Yeah, it could have been a mink. I grew up in southeast Indiana, and some people had mink farms where they raised mink. The minks are like little rodents that they use them for the fur. Yeah, you see that? Detroit's turning in there. Thanks, Perry. Yeah, Anna Rob's still streaming in Detroit, right? Yeah, she was live streamer in Detroit. I think she has her own, Kevin was telling me she has her own podcast on Facebook now, so she's diversifying. See, we're all being forced to diversify. That's why I usually, for years, have been streaming on TikTok at this time, but now we're on YouTube, and we'll keep it going here. Hey, we got 103 people tuning in early in the morning here. Appreciate it. So here, let's head back out to the street here. We'll head up back to Clark Street. We'll go through the park. We'll go down Arlington or those beautiful streets with the gas lights there. And yeah, one last time here, we'll show you the waterfall. We went full circle here. So this is where we started. There's the waterfall for the Caldwell Lily Pool, Lincoln Park, Chicago. It's back open again. I'm happy it's back open. And so you just walk around the loop. One way in, one way out. Actually, you can go out the southern end to the parking lot for the Lincoln Park Zoo. There is another exit at the other end, and you exit to the parking lot for the Lincoln Park Zoo, the Alfred Caldwell Lily Pool. No zoo access. There you go. There you go. Find out more information there. Hey, they're mowing the grass. So there's the Alfred Caldwell Lily Pool, National Historic Landmark. And here we'll head up through the... try to get away from the lawnmower here, but I think it's gonna follow me. Yeah, it's coming this way, so we'll go down this path. We'll go up the grassy knoll here. Full circle. You're like, we saw that waterfall before. We're on a loop. We're on the endless loop. Colombia is tuning in. Esteban. Yeah, hola, how you doing there? Thanks for tuning in from Colombia. Yeah, South America. That's great. Yeah, this poor tree. This tree has been broken down by too many wet snows. And it's still alive, but it wasn't made for this wet snow climate. This is what I call the grassy knoll here. And we're still in Lincoln Park. We're up by Stockton and Fullerton. There's the North Pond. We'll cross over here and we'll head back into the city and show you some beautiful, historic, charming housing with gas lights. And then we'll walk up Clark Street a little bit. But we'll be heading up Clark Street a lot further at lunchtime. Probably starting at noon. After I get some work done at home there, we'll head up to Wrigley Field, and we'll head up Clark Street. And the game time is 2:00 something. But I'm not going in the game. I don't have tickets. We'll just kind of feed off the vibe of the crowd there. Start the postseason off right here. So normally we walk that way. I'm not heading downtown today. We went downtown yesterday. I'll probably go downtown tomorrow. We'll go back to the office tomorrow. There's the 134, fully loaded up, goes express, and goes to Lakeshore Drive. So we're in Chicago. We're in a neighborhood called Lincoln Park. We're see Lincoln Park West. This is Fullerton. Lake Michigan's that way where the sun's rising. We just saw the sunrise. You can rewind this. That's the good thing about YouTube. You can rewind it and check out the beginning of the video there, and then fast forward and catch up with real time here. So Chicago, Illinois, we got about 20 degrees Celsius, 66 degrees Fahrenheit, 68 degrees around, and it's supposed to have a beautiful day, sunny. Still feels like summer, still looks like summer. Last day of September. Yeah, the Windy City. Yeah, nice architecture. That's mostly what I do, is we just show the skyscraper architecture, the historic housing, and cultural events that mostly free that happen across the city year-round. And I live here. I work for an architecture engineering firm. That's why I'm in Chicago. I grew up in the countryside, but moved to the city 26 years ago. Lived here over half my life. And I know Chicago's not for everybody. That's not why I do this. I'm not trying to convince you to move here, shop here, vacation here. I'm just showing people this city's interesting for multiple reasons. Cities are manifestations of our culture. And if America's a culture in decline, you'll find it in cities, right? Depends on who you ask, you know. And yeah, Frank Lloyd Wright. We got many Frank Lloyd Wright buildings that we filmed. I haven't gone to Oak Park yet, which has probably the largest concentration in this area, but there are some in the city, namely on the south side. We filmed the Roby House and 4 other of his houses there. They're in Kenwood and Hyde Park on the south side of Chicago. But yeah, of course, Frank Lloyd Wright practiced in Chicago, worked for Louis Sullivan. We filmed a lot of Louis Sullivan buildings, his mentor, and Schmidt, a contemporary, another prairie style architect. Andrew Robori, which is more, he moved from neoclassical to art deco to art moderne, but yeah, so many famous architects practice in this city. Mies van der Rohe, international style, Halliburton Root, Halliburton Roche, Burnham and Root, Daniel Burnham, even his sons practice architecture, and leaving a lot of architects out. But here we're in Lincoln Park, the actual park, and we're going to walk these little one-way streets that are so charming here. This housing's pretty nice. These are I don't know if they're still co-ops, but they're co-op style luxury residential. That's a Mies van der Rohe building there, 2400 Lakeshore, classic international style. You got those buildings along Fullerton. These look like they could be in Hyde Park, but they're in Lincoln Park because they look, we got that, looks very collegiate for some reason to me. But these are just amazing inside here. This is along Lincoln, this is along Lakeview. Lakeview becomes Sheridan when you go further north here in Lincoln Park, the neighborhood of Chicago. Yeah, morning walk there. Yeah, I made the tough decision not to go live on TikTok anymore. The main reason is, and I'm being honest about this, TikTok has changed their terms and conditions. I know you might not realize how they impact you because you might not be a live streamer, but if you live stream, it's they're limiting. And you know, so far many live streamers, things have been fine. They haven't been as bad as we feared as far as them cracking down on what you can say and what you can film and stuff. But there's things I can film on YouTube, like I live in Illinois, you know, marijuana is legal here. I always have to dance around it on TikTok. Even though it's legal in this state, I have been penalized by simply filming, and not that I want to promote that. It's part of, just like a bar or a restaurant, it's part of society. And I just don't like the fact that, you know, in YouTube I can stream from a car, so not driving, but as a passenger. So we went to Cincinnati. My cousin is an Uber driver, so he drove me around Cincinnati, and I was able to film from the window. That would have been really hard for me to do on TikTok. You understand that? So this is even larger than the, you know, the TikTok sale and who's going to own TikTok. It's even more than that. They also TikTok kicked me out of the creator fund. So they purposely told me they're not going to let me monetize my content because they told me my content was low quality. They told me this content is low quality because it's not promoting stuff on TikTok Shop. So I'll take my business elsewhere if TikTok's going to treat their creators this way. And if TikTok drives all their creators away, are you going to still there and watch AI generated videos of crap and buy stuff on TikTok Shop? That's what they want us to do, and that's what they think of us. They think we're just like cattle to be milked, and they laugh at us that we watch this crap on TikTok. But hey, thanks for watching YouTube. We'll try to produce quality content here on YouTube and see if YouTube appreciates us better than TikTok. Here's the Thurer house. This is called the Wrigley Mansion because the Wrigley family bought it from Thurer. Am I saying his name right? Thurer. Thurer. T-H-E-U-R-E-R. Thurer Wrigley House. Richard E. Schmidt. Schmidt was a contemporary of Frank Lloyd Wright. Now this is because of the time it was built, this was 1896. So just like the Dway's house, which is further north here, in this, after the World's Columbian Exposition, all the new money and wealthy people that want to build new housing, and there was a lot of money, you know, even though it was a depression at that time, or a recession after the World's Columbian Exposition, they rolled their money. Thurer was a beer baron. He married into the Schoenhofen brewery fortune. His wife was the daughter of Schoenhofen, who had Edelweiss beer. And so just like Wacker and Dway's and the guy over there in Wicker Park that built the Bavarian Gingerbread House, they built these amazing, this is a Italian Renaissance revival style. And again, I'm not an architect, I just play one on social media. It has a balcony, or it has a ballroom on the top. There's the garbage truck there. But the Wrigley family bought it probably in the 10s and 20s, and they lived in it until the Great Depression, when it became too much of a conspicuous place to live. People would throw rocks in the windows because of the class warfare that was going on in the Great Depression, and so they had to move out of here. But people live in it now. It's still single family residential. It goes on the market every once in a while. I think it was like 10 million. I'm not for sure. I'm not a real estate agent. Talk to Nick Koiken. Here's yeah, look at this nice deconstructivist monitor. They have such a nice Zen garden here. They have a really nice landscape median. This is again on Lincoln Park West. No, this is Lakeview. This is Lakeview, becomes Sheridan, north of Fullerton, Lincoln Park, Chicago. And here's Roslyn. Roslyn's a nice street, as is Arlington. They have the gas lights. And so here's people waiting for the bus. I remember doing that. You have to wait. And I do that sometimes. If it rains, I'll take the bus, get downtown. But this is Deming. And this whole, just like Inner Lakeshore, there used to be low-scale mansions that fronted this, and you see how in the 70s the density changed, people sold and they built high-rise condo. But you can go down these little one-way streets and kind of get a feel for what this looked like in the 1890s. And there's gas lights. This is Roslyn Place. We're going in between Lakeview and Clark Street on Roslyn Place in Lincoln Park, Chicago, 3 miles north of downtown Chicago on the north side. So thanks for following on YouTube. I know we were talking about why I'm getting off of TikTok, and I'm still posting reruns there. We posted the rerun of Ernie, you know, Ernie's story of what happened with him with ice, and that it still serves a purpose. Even though I'm not getting paid for that video, I felt like it's important to post it there and spread the word. And look at this beautiful housing here, and the gas lights. These are real gas lights. And you imagine, when we usually get the first snow, I make it a point, since I live near here, to walk down here and show what this looks like with the little coating of snow. It looks like you're in a Charles Dickens novel. I am dead serious. This is, and there is a street just south here called Dickens Street. But this is Roslyn Place here. You got the gas lights, you got the beautiful stoops and porches. A lot of these places decorate very nicely for Halloween and Christmas. And look at this Richardsonian Romanesque, the rough-hewn stone, and these row houses here. And then you see the condo high-rises. So here, we'll keep going here. Yeah, 429. Very nice. And friends and neighbors there. I'm literally neighbors with these people. I just live a few blocks away from here. Marathon block party. So, October the 12th, 8 to 11. So maybe we'll stop by this marathon block party when we're covering the marathon. I plan to cover the marathon. We also got Chicago Open House coming up. I got to check in to see if there's still tickets. I need to purchase a ticket for that Chicago Open House. Hopefully I'll be around for it and not be traveling for work. I think that's what happened last year. I was traveling for work and I missed it. I remember that. That's when I was in Washington, D.C. One of those days. Yeah, good morning there, Nisi. How you doing there? Yeah, I use a gimbal. That's why the camera, you know. See, here I am here at Brian Riley Chicago Mall. I'm wearing the Cubs hat today because the Cubs start their wild card playoff game there today, 2 o'clock there up at Wrigley Field. But here we're almost to Clark Street, Roslyn Place. Yeah, these nice apartments here. Hey, you got a little, look at the flowers. Better Homes and Gardens. But here, we'll just head up Clark Street here. We got 724. Go to Illinois. Yeah, go to Illinois. Yeah, looking good. Nelios, McRae. Yeah, everybody staying low there. Yeah, good morning. See Esteban. Thanks for saying good morning to everybody there. Elder. Yeah. Lisa Myers. Yeah, Prince, how you doing? Kevin, what's up? USA 2.0. So here at Clark Street in Roslyn. Here's the Basil Leaf Cafe. We'll head up Clark Street here. Let's see what's shaking. So there's Walgreens. That's the closest Walgreens where I live. Oh, they got the skeletons in the globe there. Hey, get some Halloween. Oh, I love you to death. To death do us part. Oh, eternal love. That's in the there's a jewelry store there. I should promote the jewelry store here. Steve Quick Jewelers here. Restore Hyper Fitness. Yeah, I remember during the marathon we walked up and down this street. If you go further up, they had bands and stuff. Here's the 10 Lizzie. They have turtle races. Fridays 5 to 9, Saturdays 6 to 9. They got turtle races. 10 Lizzie here, Clark Street. It's still open right next to the China Walk. Frank's is gone. We lost Frank's, this nice 4 a.m. bar. Here's St. James Place. Hey, if you're on Monopoly, you always wondered where St. James Place was. Well, here's where it's at, Chicago, St. James. It's this one-way street. That building's called the St. James over there. This used to be the Lincoln Park Market. Now it's the Walgreens. Here's Frank's. Iowa, how you doing there? Thanks, how you doing there? Yeah, nice meeting. Nice buildings here. Thanks for checking us out. Yeah, so this is like a Lurie Children's Outpatient Center here. They have some medical facilities here. And it's a parking garage. You can use it for public parking. Here in this area here, 2515 North Clark. Skeletons, yeah, spooky skeletons. We're starting to see some Halloween decorations go up, which is nice. Is the resolution okay? Is the resolution better on Streamlabs? At least my comments are still working. We're almost an hour into it, 55 minutes, so hopefully it's working out. Iowa State, yeah, there you go. I think there's still a lot of Cubs fans in Iowa. got some minor league teams now. Here's a pretty dog here at the coffee shop there. How you doing there, doggy? Yeah. So there's Starbucks here, and there's Collectivo coffees over there. Collectivo's got that nice outdoor area here. So here we'll head around here. This is Deming at Park Street. We're heading up towards the Wiener Circle here. Home away from home. Yeah, Neo's. I miss Neo's. Yeah, Neo's was a nice dance club there just south of us, south of Fullerton there. You know what Neo's is now? It's a daycare. There goes the neighborhood, yeah. But yeah, I used to walk down that alley and go in the back there. They always have something crazy painted on the wall there. It was almost like exit there on North Avenue. You'd have to enter through like Satan's head to get to the place, or the goat's butt. There's Francis. There's Francis. Uni Uni. Oishi. Here's Studio Salons. This used to be a hospital. And that's why I always was like, why is this nice, beautiful, tall building here on Clark Street? Now it's called the Studio Salons. It used to be a hospital. This plaque tells about it. 2551 North Chicago Hospital Building. 1928 to 29. You get some balconies there. Clark Street. Yeah, I should be a tour guide. You're right, Lisa. Thanks for the good comment there. Well, if I ever lose my day job working for an architecture engineering firm, yeah, you'll see me on the tour boat there. I'll be panhandling on the street there. I'll be like, tours for a nickel. This is a type of tour too. This is a virtual tour. We have greater reach. We've got people from Australia and Europe watching here, and South America. It's great. Here, Smokehouse Oyster Bar. When I moved to Chicago, this was a blockbuster video. And that's gone through a succession of drinking establishments. Now it's called Briny Swine here. There's the 22 bus. The edgy tour guide, yeah. Am I edgy? I don't know. I'm not edgy enough. I'm too controversial for the internet. Too controversial for politics, I'll tell you that. Hey, Churrascas. Hey, they got the Dia de los Muertos. Hey, they got the skulls. Yeah, they're decorating. They're getting ready for Mexican Day of the Dead here. Hey, there you go. So there's the neighborhood hotel. Sarah always said she was going to stay here, but here's the affordable portables. There's the Wiener Circle. Sun's out, buns out for Callie's never-ending birthday. So I think the Wiener Circle has just completely jumped the shark, and they just lease out their sign now to, you know, birthday parties or whatever message there, which is fine. But I liked it better when they had snarkier, but they probably got too much flack for that. So so here, let's go down. We'll check out the Dway's house, and then I'm gonna go to the grocery store here. So I know you've seen it a million times, but you know, in case anybody new's tuning in, you haven't seen the Dway's house, let's go check it out here. And then I'm gonna go to the grocery store and go head to work here. Yeah, don't forget to rewind the tape. Remember that? It was analog. Cassette tapes, videotapes, you had to rewind. Big plastic thing, big honking square thing you stuck in a VCR. Then they came out with DVDs. You're like, oh wow. And then everybody bought this DVD collection. Became irrelevant when streaming came in. You got a bunch of DVDs lying around like your CD collection. And once you got Spotify, you don't need all these CDs laying around. You have the big CD players with 1,000 CDs in them. Speak the truth. Yeah, thanks for listening there, Carlos. Hey, he's just tuning in. Yeah, random Random casa. That I do like that YouTube. We have access to over 1 billion people in India. You know, in which TikTok is banned in India, right? And so that's another positive about. There's that new housing. Let's go up after this. We'll go up and check out that new housing. Yeah, we'll walk up behind the post. How you doing? So if I cross the street here, yeah, we'll cross the street here. We're east of Clark Street, Lincoln Park, Chicago, and you see how much. See, there's older apartments and newer apartments. These condo buildings that were built in the 60s and 70s, and then in the 1890s we have these first round or second round of residential development in Chicago. That's from the Gilded Age, and that's, I think his relative lived in this house, which is pretty nice here on Wrightwood. But here's the Dway's house. This is the Dway's house. It's almost Baroque. It's like a French chateau, and again built in 1896, the same year as the Wrigley Mansion that we just saw earlier, 1896, after the World's Columbia Exposition, when all the new money and the old money both wanted a European style neo-Renaissance revival, that Louis Sullivan gnashed his teeth and said, why don't we move into the modern prairie style, something new, instead of doing this stuff over and over again. But this is what people wanted. So you got this French looking chateau. It's beautiful. It's called the Dway's house.
Morning, Brian.
Morning, how you doing there? I'm on YouTube now. That's good. So here's there it is. People jogging here, friends and neighbors. Here's the plaque to it. Yeah, the Francis J. Dway's house here, 1896. Adolf Cuddle, Arthur Hearst Architects. It says the exuberant Baroque detailing of the Dway's house reflects the European background of the original owner and his two architects. House is a monument to old world splendor, example of eclectic architecture popular in Chicago after the World Columbia's Exposition of 1893. Dway's house here. So we're at Wrightwood and Hampden, Hampden, Wrightwood and Hampden, Hampden Court, Lincoln Park, Chicago. And there's the Wrightwood apartments. So they're working on the Second Church of Christ Scientist. We already documented that. I want to walk back here to check out. There's new construction behind, kind of north of the post office here in Lincoln Park on Clark Street. I've been to the top of this building. It was 10, 15 years ago. There's a pool up there. It's amazing views. So I was invited up there to use the pool, and it was nice. Yeah, the neighborhood hotel looks like it's haunted. It looks like a lot of interesting things may be happening in that building across the years. I remember one time in the early 2000s, after I moved here to Chicago, they had a party, and supposedly they had a live tiger, just like maybe it was the time the Hangover movie came out. They really had a tiger and had a party there. I remember a bunch of people standing out there to see the tiger. Did I just make that up in my mind, or did that really happen? I don't know. I don't need to be spreading rumors here, but I'm sure a lot of things are haunted in Chicago. H.H. Holmes, Devil in the White City, used to live in Chicago. Serial killer, of course. John Wayne Gacy lived kind of on the edge of the city there, towards the northwestern suburbs. Here, let's go up. This is kind of an alley street. It's behind the. What's the name of this street? Has it got a name? I don't even see a name here, but it goes behind the post office and the McDonald's, and there's new construction here. So I wanted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stories, 7 stories tall. It's kind of behind the Covent Hotel. Let's check it out here. I don't know if the street lights are solar. They probably are some solar lights in certain areas of the city. I don't think they all are. And I don't know if the ones you were asking about are solar or not. It's a good question. We saw some gas lights that were from gas. But here we'll head over to this new housing taking shape here I'll get you to cross street. See, we're behind the post office. That's the McDonald's. This is where they had the giant Ferris wheel. They moved the Ferris wheel from the World's Columbia Exposition. They actually moved it up to Lincoln Park before 1900. And there was an amusement park up here. But it didn't last long. They dismantled it and somehow transferred it to St. Louis for the St. Louis 1903 World's Fair. And you can watch the Meet Me in St. Louis musical with Julie Garland. Julie Garland, know more about that. But they put it in that World's Fair, and then no one knows what happened to it. Hey, Target Rats, Kenny, KB, New York City would like that. There's this new construction here in Chicago, Lincoln Park. Let's see what it looks like on the other side here. There's all kinds of housing that's accessed off of this. And it's not an alley, it's a street, but it kind of looks like an alley. And there's this new construction. Yeah. So there's a lot of housing being built in Lincoln Park. It's just expensive housing. Because we saw the stuff going up in Fullerton where the Cynical used to be. There's this going up. There's the new housing being built where Stanley's used to be, with Armitage, Lincoln, and Sedgwick. We went by that last night. This is, I'm going to have to whip out my phone because I don't see any street names here. Hold on a second here. Hold on a second. I'm just looking up the cross streets here to make sure. So this is called Lehman, Lehman, Lehman Court. And this is Drummond Place. So Lehman Court and Drummond Place, this connects over to Clark Street. So this is Lehman and Drummond, 7 stories tall. I wonder if there's views to the skyline from the top. Hey, thanks everybody for tuning in here. I'm gonna wrap it up a little bit early today because I might be on longer at lunchtime. So we'll see you afternoon today on YouTube. I'll walk. Hopefully I can get time off at lunch there. We'll walk up to Wrigley Field for the pregame, and I probably will stop streaming by like 1:30 before the game starts, and then I'll rush to get home, and then I'll listen to the game on the radio because I don't have the marquee network. But Cubs fans or not, if you want to see what the pregame vibe is in Wrigleyville before the first game of the postseason for the Cubs playing the Padres there too, tune in at YouTube at lunch there. It should be fun even if you're not a Cubs fan. And we'll see people excited to go to the game there, and have a great day, everybody. So here from Chicago, we'll see you at lunchtime there. Thanks for coming along the tour here and following along here. And thanks for all your support for Ernie, Chicago Nuggies. I posted that video. We saw what happened to him with ice. And thanks everybody for your supporting Ernie, Chicago Nuggies there. He was streaming last night with Overtime Seb, I think, at Navy Pier, and that's great to see. So the best way you could support Ernie is just by following and supporting his live streams there, and I'll do the same there. So thanks everybody. We'll see you later here from Chicago. Have a great day. Happy Tuesday, and we'll talk to you soon there. Delios. Yeah, we'll talk to you.